Hi, everyone. Tracy here with the Oasis for Natural Healing. So, we are talking tonight a little bit about mold, memory, and muscle issues. Well, it's mold season. Things are a little bit wet and damp, and yeah, it's not so fun out. And people don't realize that their symptoms, and a lot of their symptoms actually can be related to mold issues. So, just trying to pull up and see if we can find there. Perfect. Good. Okay. And doot. All right. Wanting to make sure that I have, for some reason, the chat section and like any messages are not coming up. But anyway, okay. A lot of people are not aware that their symptoms, there's a ton of different symptoms that can actually be related to mold. So I know, when I moved into my parents' house, so I actually had to move back in after I shattered my foot. Um, I was in a really bad horseback riding accident where I shattered my foot. I had just recently gotten a divorce, and I couldn't take care of my dogs. I was living like in an apartment, and there were stairs to go up, and then I would have to walk out my dog outside, and I couldn't make it up the stairs and stuff like that. So I had to get rid of my apartment and move back into my parents' house. And about a year later, I just noticed that I was getting this pain in my muscle and in the back of my knee. And this pain was just like it was starting to get really bad. And I see a chiropractor and a massage therapist pretty regularly. Um, and so I brought it up to them, because I just didn't know what was going on. And I wound up mentioning it to them. And so they they adjusted the area. They adjusted my knee, the back, my hips, trying to release any tension. The massage therapist was using different techniques to really get it out. And I had so many knots that I actually wound up being bruised while I was being massaged because it just was so tight and everything was just so painful. And I brought this up to my muscle testing practitioner as well, and they tested me and I came up for mold. And I was like, well, where the heck is the mold coming from? And the muscle testing practitioner was actually able to pinpoint it, and it was actually in my parents' house. And sure enough, it was right where it was, they said it was going to be. We had a mold inspector and everything like that. And within several days to about maybe a week of starting a mold detox, I actually started feeling much better. I started feeling actually a lot better, and my pain was actually getting better because it was to the point where I thought I actually had torn a muscle in my leg. It was really not comfortable. And then I found out that some of my other symptoms were possibly also related to being exposed to mold. And some of these things you might not even be aware of. And memory issues or having brain fog can really be a big, huge thing and an indication that you have um, been exposed to mold. Also, headaches and migraines too. So chronic headaches and migraines, and pay attention, because it can be hidden in your house, but it also might be at work. I just saw a new patient, and they were testing for mold, and we pinpointed it to um, a local dance studio. So, and this poor thing had been been suffering from neck aches and severe migraines and stuff like that. And it was so interesting because then I found out, after pinpointing it to the dance studio, that the unit next door to the dance studio had flooded several years ago into the dance studio. and like things had to be refurbished, but mold can get missed sometimes. So like even if you do like a really good job, like mold is really, really tricky and a PIA to get rid of. And mold can actually cause a lot of like asthma-like symptoms, allergies, generalized fatigue and weakness. Again, like headaches and migraines, and joint pain, muscle pain. So it can mimic arthritis and just overall inflammation. It can cause gut issues. And goofy thing, it can also lead to psoriasis. So, like if you have psoriasis or eczema, it might be actually mold that's the culprit. So remember, guys, if you have symptoms, it's an indication that something is not functioning optimally. Like there's an underlying reason. If you have symptoms, just don't like take a band-aid to cover up the symptom. Find out the root cause. Like some people will say, well, I did have psoriasis and I'm taking X, Y, and Z medication for it. And then I ask them, okay, well, what happens if I take you off that medication? Do your symptoms come back? And 9 out of 10 times patients will say, yes, my symptoms will come back. I'm like, okay, well, then is that medication really handling the underlying cause, or are we just slapping a Band-Aid on it? So let's address the underlying cause, because if you have a symptom, there is always an underlying cause, and it might not be found by Western medicine. Mold is notorious, and it's more common than people think it is. And just because you visibly can't see mold, this stuff is really sneaky. It can be hidden in a lot of different places, and it can affect multiple different parts of your body. It can even affect the heart and cause like cardiovascular issues. It can cause like your urinary issues. So if you guys are getting up in the middle of the night peeing, or you have incontinence issues, just don't think it's because you're getting older. It actually might be because of mold. Mold can actually get into the urinary tract and actually cause urgency and incontinence issues too. Sometimes hormonal imbalances can be from mold as well, like gut issues, like I said, and then allergy, sinus issues. And if you ever feel like hunger, so like air hunger, like you can't get enough air in, like you're always like, like having to take a deep breath, or breathe more heavily, that could be a sign that you've been exposed to mold. So how do we treat mold? Well, it actually depends on the person. So there's a couple different supplement companies that I really, really like for getting rid of mold. And sometimes I have the patient do several different things. Sometimes I have them, especially if they're like testing for mold in their sinuses or in their lungs. Like I've actually had them doing like neti pot nasal washes with some of these herbs. I've also had sometimes them do nebulizer treatments. So that way, if like you have breathed in mold and it's like causing you like lung problems and breathing problems, so sometimes you can like actually inhale some of these like supplements to get into the lung tissue and really get in there to help get rid of like mold or like even parasites. If patients test for parasites in their lungs, we can actually get it in there using a nebulizer treatment. Now, with a neb machine, I recommend usually distilled water, because a lot of tap water or even filtered water from the fridge has still a lot of toxins, and you don't want to go breathing that in. So like for instance, in Chicago's water supply, there's over 200 medications that it's actually found in our water supply. So when you drink tap water or you use tap water, you're actually, if you're putting that in your nebulizer, you're going to inhale all those medications and then the chlorine and the fluoride and everything else that's in there. You don't want to go doing that. Also, did you know that, by the way, fun tip. Did you know that like amoebas, so microscopic parasites, are actually found in our tap water? So that actually can be found in like our tap water. So you don't want to go, because chlorine doesn't kill actually parasites, believe it or not. So you don't want to go using tap water at all. So, but yeah, so I usually have patients do distilled water in the nebulizer or in the neti pot nasal wash. So depending on where you're testing for mold, then we use that supplement. So like I love Carboxy from Cellcore. There is actually a new company that I'm going to be bringing on board, and Aegis Formulas. I'm so excited. They have like a total binder, and I'm really excited to bring that on board and test for patients. So far, people are testing really, really well for that. So I'm going to be bringing Aegis Formulas on board for my patients. So really excited about bringing this new company on. They have some really cool stuff too. Also, I like the name of this. It's called Calm AF. So I like to say, can I say that on live? Calm as fill in the blank. It's kind of fun to say. So, and it actually works out really well. I've tried it and it's actually really good. It kind of is like a Listerine strip almost, and it's kind of got like a honey taste. It really helps to calm down, like if you're really, stressed out and stuff. And you can take several of them and it just really kind of calms everything down. So, really good for like in the moment things, really helps with stress levels. And they also have one for allergies too. So instead of like running for your Zyrtec or whatever, you can actually use this. And then it also helps like with your immune system too. So like sinus congestion, asthma, and things like that. So I'm really excited about that. But they do have like a total binder on, which can help, with mold as well. So Carboxy, Total Binder from Aegis Formulas. And then I really like there's another one. It's a homeopathic, and usually this homeopathic supplement is from Energetics, and usually it works really well with like one of the other supplements. So it kind of like enhances the other supplement, so to speak. And that's what homeopathics do really well with, is they usually enhance the other supplements. And sometimes I'll like do a combination. But what's kind of cool is you can actually use these supplements and you can do like neti pot nasal washes. You can make a paste. So like I actually had mold that was actually affecting my lymphatic system in my legs, believe it or not. And so I made like a paste with Carboxy and I would put it on my legs, and that helped out tremendously with like the swelling. Um, like I said, neti pot nasal washes, you can actually use it in a nebulizer machine. So, and then not only does it help with mold, but then like heavy metals and heavy chemicals and things like that. So really, really good. And how we find all of this stuff is through like a technique called quantum nutrition testing. So I really like quantum nutrition testing because for me, like using labs is good, but it misses a lot of things. And so as a nurse practitioner, what I found is that quantum nutrition testing really helps to find the underlying cause, and really kind of pinpoint on why patients have their issues instead of just guessing and like, okay, well, let's try this supplement. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try this. Instead of throwing darts at a dartboard and guessing, we can use quantum nutrition testing to kind of find out exactly what's going on, which organs, which areas are being affected, and the underlying cause, such as mold or other things. And then specifically what supplements your body needs to get rid of the underlying cause while giving support. So if you are tired of not feeling your best and you're tired of not, knowing the underlying cause, and you would like more support or just more information on like how possibly maybe mold is affecting you, call for a free discovery phone call. So that's 708-694-4092. Again, that's 708-694-4092. Call for a free 10-minute discovery phone call. Well, I got to go. We're teaching classes, by the way. So I'm going to be teaching class tonight at 7:30. We have yoga style, Tai Chi style classes, breath work and meditation classes. So class is going to start in just a little bit. I got to go teach. Hope you guys have a really wonderful night. If you guys are interested in that and you're local, you also get one free drop-in class. So call to schedule that as well. If you're interested in yoga, Tai Chi classes, breath work, and meditation, you get one free drop-in class. Call to schedule that. All right. Have a good night. Bye. Bye, guys.